Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to be talking about data logging. Now in my Fiesta ST and my Focus RS, both of which I had before I bought this M140i, I did a fair bit of data logging, but in 1 year and just about 14,500 miles now, I've yet to data log anything in this car. I've been having a bit too much fun driving it and discovering the joys of rear-wheel drive. And before I get into that, if you like this slightly geeky side of car ownership, learning and understanding, do me a favour, hit that subscribe button. So how do you data log what's going on with your car? Well, I use a Bluetooth OBD ELM327 plug that connects to the onboard diagnostic socket down there. I've had a few different types in the past, but I'm currently using a V-Gate iCard 2. And with that, I use the Android app Talk Pro, which has a whole load of options, really comprehensive. I simply use it to write a CSV file of all of the parameters that I choose to log. I export that, and from that I can then use it with some software, Race Render 3, to overlay gauges onto video so I can see what's going on. So why would you want to log? Well, as I said, for me, it's all about learning and understanding. And some examples of how I've used it in the past are, I've used it to review wet versus dry laps on a circuit to see how I can improve what I'm doing and how better to manage the car around the lap. I've used it to measure G-force using the accelerometers in the phone to see how I'm managing the transition from braking to turning in to accelerating out of a turn. Before I had enough GoPros to have one mounted here so I can see the dials and see what's happening, I used to data log on track to see what speeds I was hitting. I've used it to log temperatures on dyno runs to see how the car fares with just a fan blowing air through the intercooler rather than the wind from the car moving down the road. I discovered how the car limits boost and therefore torque in the first couple of gears. Again, in my Fiesta ST, I proved that unless you're driving like an absolute tool on the road, you really don't need an upgraded intercooler. And I also proved that the standard intercooler seems to work just well enough on track. I demonstrated that a remap for the Fiesta ST that had the selling point of allowing left foot braking was absolute BS because the standard car lets you left foot brake anyway. In my RS, I demonstrated that the kind of Fisher-Price boost gauge was actually surprisingly accurate, but also that the car only held boost back a tiny amount in first gear only. And lastly, in my Focus RS, having had the first engine that the car came with drink itself to death, I set up a permanent hardwired Android device to log every single drive while I was running it in, so that if I did have a problem with the second engine, I could prove with some data to Ford that I hadn't been banging it off the limiter from day one. Which brings me to data logging my M140i. Now, I've not had that much of a chance to play with it since I got it all configured and working, but I did get a run out the other night and a chance to do some pulls through second gear. And my observations so far from that run the other night is that, well, firstly, the manifold or the throttle body seems to do exactly as you ask it to based on your pedal inputs. In both my Fiesta and the Focus, there was some difference, sometimes some delay between what you asked with your right foot and what the manifold actually did. But this tracks almost exactly. Another observation is the boost level. It only hits 1 bar. Now my Fiesta hit 1.45 bar, I think it was. The Focus RS with 1.55 bar. So it was a bit of a surprise when I saw that this thing only makes 1 bar. I guess it shouldn't really have been a surprise because with 3 litres of displacement, it doesn't actually need that much boost to make the power it produces. But it does explain why these engines have so much headroom and so much capability. The closed deck B58 is an absolute beast and it's got so much potential. So I'm going to continue exploring, seeing what I can find out from the data I can read from the ECU. I'm particularly curious as to how the traction control in the 2 stages works, I think what it does is it just pulls the throttle body, the manifold throttle back from what you're asking with your right foot. That's certainly what it feels like, but I'm going to explore that and find out. If you've got any questions about data logging, or indeed if there's anything you'd like me to try or experiment with, let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. Thank you very, very much for watching.